So fresh out of the shower, and these are one of the bamboo hair wrap towels that comes in the Transform kit, and they are like a turban. So you'll wrap your hair up into this and twiddle it round, and then there's a little elastic with a button to secure it. And this just stops you from rubbing your hair with the towel. So it's really nice and soft, and it's going to absorb a lot of the water, and it just saves time when you're drying your hair. So that's what comes with the Transform kit. Put one of those in there. Now, when you've used the D2 lotion, if you've used it a couple of times, the first time you'll notice is that you may see more hair. Now I've got one of these little hair traps for the shower, and you can see that that's all the hair that has been released by doing the D2 treatment. Okay, so I combed it through, and that's all the hair that was released. Because if you do have any dead hairs in the hair follicle, the D2 lotion will start to release those dead hairs, and believe it or not, this is a good thing, and this allows a new healthy hair to grow. Now if you've got very surface blockages, so in the top of the hair follicle, this may happen in a couple of weeks, so you may start to see more hair loss in the first couple of weeks. However, if you have deeper blockages and they're deeper down into the hair follicle, it may be weeks 5 and 6 that you start to lose more hair. So it purely just depends on how long you've had the problem, how deep the blockages are in the hair follicle. So just to bear that in mind once you start using, and I would get like a little hair trap. I recommend those anyway. I'm sure most plumbers do as well. But then you can sort of monitor. Now I don't suggest that you count hairs. That can be quite a psychological you know, thing that you really don't want to be doing, but just to monitor when you do start to lose the hair and when you don't. So I think that's enough time that to be blotting the hair. So I'm just going to take the towel off, and this is the next stage. So it depends how long and how much hair that you've been using. Now I say if you've got sort of very severe hair loss and it's sort of happened very suddenly, or if you have genetic hair loss, with genetic hair loss you're going to need a sort of a long-term routine, because those genetic hair loss, it's not going to all of a sudden rectify. We're going to be able to slow down the hair loss and prevent the inevitable. So what I recommend is that you get your, so the P3 and the V4, this is the 50ml size, which comes with a glass dropper, both of them. And then the 100ml size comes in a spray, and it purely depends on whether you would prefer to spray the lotion on the hair or use a dropper. I find that if I'm putting the lotion on dry scalp, so I don't wash my hair every day, but if you going to be using the lotion every day, even twice a day in severe hair loss, then it may be easy to get the dropper over the spray, and I'll show you why. So there's the lotions there. So how I apply mine, so I've got mine in, so I've got the P3 in a spray, and the reason being is I just spray a couple of sprays along the scalp line there, and just part it And then with the P3, because you have plant proteins in here that really help sort of protect and structure the hair, you can put a couple of sprays on the hair. And then for me, this acts like a nice gentle blow dry lotion. So that's the P3. And then with the V4, I use a few pipettes. So you can see it's easy to apply using the glass dropper, especially if the hair is dry. So it's purely personal preference with that. And I use about 3 pipettes worth all over the scalp. Okay. Again, light massage. You don't want to be rubbing the scalp. It's very light massage, and you're going to massage again all the way down the back of the neck and down into the collarbone, and you can do that. It's literally as if you had a pet and you were stroking a cat or dog. That's the kind of pressure that you would be using, so don't really sort of scrub the scalp. Now, you would give that a couple of minutes to allow to soak into the hair follicle, and then you would style your hair as usual. I would use a medium setting or cool setting on a hairdryer, and if you are going to be using straighteners or tongs, you really need the heat less than 180 degrees. Probably about 150, 160 would be perfect just to smooth it, but again, you're really not going to be using those very often. Especially if you've got sort of very delicate hair that is breaking, you don't want to be using too much heat because it destroys the hydrogen bonds.